Today on the DML News podcast, the biggest night in American history turns out to be the greatest comeback of all time, whether it's in politics or otherwise. Donald J. Trump has won the presidency as he should have had a victory in 2020. Now we have it in 2024. God always has a plan, and obviously his plan is in motion. Thank God for God. Thank God for Trump. Thank God for last night. We have a great show here for you. And it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Across from me, as always, is my oldest son, Dennis. And over there on the controls, you can't see him, but he's got a presence, and it's Ryan. Last night, we were with you from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And for the majority of that evening, we knew that we were going to win. We knew it. We spoke about things like what would happen to America if Kamala Harris won. And these are just scenarios, and you've got to prepare. I don't know about you, but I can tell you that going into last night, I did have a plan B. Plan A, obviously, was a Trump victory. But what happens if he doesn't win? Last night, we were on the cusp of something very, very unique. It could have turned out that we went down a path to communism. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not sensationalizing anything. But we could have been on a path to where your freedom of speech, your freedom of bearing arms would have all been taken away. Maybe not on January 25th. But within 4 years, you could have bet it. We had a choice. In one case, if the pendulum swung to the left, it was communism. If the pendulum swung to the right, it was freedom. It was prosperity. It was the opportunity to have America be great again. To give a man who has basically given everything with the exception of his life, and he almost did that twice, to make it so this way you and I, our neighbors, our family, our friends, even our foes here in America would have a chance to actually live the American dream. Because the American dream for the past 4 years has not only been on hold, but it has been cracking. It has been shredded to pieces. And even those of us who try to stay positive through all sorts of adversity, myself being one of those people, started to doubt whether or not we would be able to give our children and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren the America that we grew up in. But something happened last night, something that I knew was going to happen. Donald J. Trump's message, which has always been pro-America, finally broke through not only the blue wall, but through the corrupt media. Barack Obama, George Soros, Joe Biden, The View, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the USA Today. The list is long. The list of criminals who are insane is long. They have been lying to the American people now since 2008, when Barack Obama took hold of this country and started to strangulate it, promising things like a fundamental transformation. You don't fundamentally transform the greatest country to ever be on this planet. Sure, you can change it. We're always going to have problems. We're imperfect as a people. There's only one guy who ever walked on water, and he hasn't been hanging out on the internet. He doesn't have a Twitter account. He doesn't post on Facebook. We're imperfect. We make mistakes. It's why pencils have erasers. But as an American people, we have always done the right thing. We have always moved in the right direction. And when we made mistakes, we made up for them. Yeah, we had a thing called slavery. It was terrible. It was horrible. But that's yesterday. The Democrats want you to live in yesterday. They want you to believe that racism is alive and well. They want to divide us because the way that you conquer, it starts with division. But the truth of the matter is, I don't look at a black guy as a black guy. I look at him as an American, but they want me to see him as black. I don't look at a Hispanic guy as trash from Puerto Rico, but that's the way they want to position it. They wanted to make it as if every woman in this country was looking to kill the unborn and that it was more important to them to do that than to stop nuclear war with Iran. They made it more important than trying to stop disease and criminals and drugs coming through our border. Barack Obama and his ilk told you that Trump was a threat to democracy, and yet they're the ones who broke the lines and broke the rules of democracy. They threw into the mix a DEI hire. Somebody was hired simply because she has a vagina and her skin color isn't white. Kamala Harris had no place being the vice president, let alone the candidate of the Democrat Party. But Barack Obama thought that he was going to get you for the third time. He got you the first time in 2008, and he ran it for 8 years. He got you again in 2020 when we falsely got Joe Biden, and he thought he was going to be able to do it third time because third time's a charm. But the American people woke up. People like you and me, we've been awake since 2008. But there have been many people who have been sleeping at the wheel. People who are apologizing for the fact that they're white. People who are apologizing for the fact that they want secure borders. People who are apologizing for the fact because they don't want to have guys getting naked in a girl's locker room and then beating the crap out of them on the sports field. It doesn't make sense. Common sense in this country has been dead for the past 4 years. And the mainstream media has been selling it and double downing on it and telling you that you're a scumbag and a racist and a misogynist and you're anti-this and anti-that because you wanted to vote for Trump. They tried to position him as Hitler. They tried to compare him to a man who put 6 million innocent people in an oven and turned it on. The only thing Trump has wanted to turn on is the faucet of money into your pocket. He's wanted to take freedom and make it bigger. He has wanted to take the world and make it stable. But the left is so demonic. And as far as I'm concerned, if you watch this show every single day, they're insane. I have said it a gazillion times, and everybody thinks it's the funniest thing in the world, and I am dead serious. There is a problem deep within the brain of a liberal. I don't know what causes it. I don't know if it's fluoride in the water. I don't know if it's the weather. I have no idea what it is. But everybody tells you that cancer and heart disease are the biggest problems here in the United States, that we need to eradicate both of them. No, they're number 2 and 3. The number one problem in this country is mental illness, and the Democrats are the poster child for it. Anybody who could get up every single day, look at Trump, and see the devil is somebody who's seeing ghosts. It's no different. Until we do autopsies on Democrats, we will never understand what makes them tick. It's like me asking you to try to predict the next terrorist plot. You can't do it. You simply can't do it. If I asked you, how do you think the neighbor is going to steal the car? You could use your common sense. Even though you're not a criminal, you could come up with, well, what are the ways that somebody can launder money or steal a car or bury a body? You can figure that out, even though you're not a criminal. But when I ask you, where is the next building they're going to blow up, on what day and why, you can't do it because you cannot take a rational brain and try to figure out how the irrational thinks. You can't do it. In the same way, you can't understand why somebody would blow themselves up and innocent people with the idea that they're going to be having virgins up in heaven. You can't understand why it is that a Democrat is going to look at Donald J. Trump and all of his followers and call them demoralizing, disgusting, deplorable pieces of garbage. It doesn't make sense. We are the most generous people. We are the most smart, hard-working people. We don't go out and commit crimes. We're not Antifa. We're not Black Lives Matter. We're not looking to kill the unborn a day before they come out of the chute. We're normal people. We believe in paying our taxes, although we'd like the taxes to be less. We believe in law enforcement, although we do understand that not every cop is great. And we want secure borders, not because we hate black people or brown people or people who don't speak the same language of English. It's because we lock our homes at nighttime for safety, because we believe in the rule of law. And we will invite you into our home. We will invite you into our country. But we need to vet you and know who you are and what you want and what you stand for. We will welcome all people of all colors, all nationalities, all religions. You want to be gay? All right. I'm not going to swim in that same pool, but I'm certainly not going to cut you out of my country. Who you sleep with, who you pray to, what you do in your own room, in your own bedroom, that's up to you. But when you come out of that house and you live in society, you will follow our laws. Our laws are what make us different. They say, oh, freedom is what makes us different. No, there's a lot of free countries and none of them are as great as America. It is our rule of law that makes us special. It is our Constitution that makes us special. And the Democrats have spent all 8 of Obama's years, 4 years of Trump, and now 4 years of an illegitimate guy, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, trying to destroy the very document that makes us great. It took a lot of people to wake up and see what it is that I'm saying is to be true. It took too long, to be quite honest. And one of the things we have to do going forward, we just can't celebrate and wave our pom-poms in the air and be like, yeah, we won. Because the devil still lurks. The ideology of the insane lefty is still there. So yeah, we can celebrate a little. We can pop the champagne. We could take a little bit of a drink. We could take a day off. But we got to get right back to work tomorrow. Because they're going to be working tomorrow to try to figure out how they're going to steal it in 4 years from now. If not 2 years from now. Because we're going to take the Senate. We're going to take the House. And we're going to take the presidency. And we're going to take the country back, damn it. Donald J. Trump is going to start today, not tomorrow. He's starting today. What laws am I going to put in place first? What do we need to get this country great again? Because Donald J. Trump, although imperfect, has learned lessons like no other man has learned. What he pulled off last night, you can only pull off if A, you understand that winners never quit and quitters never win. He manifested that win. He saw himself winning. He never gave up. They shot him. He fell down. He got up and said, fight, fight, fight. Who else does that? That's the guy who should be leading the presidency. That's the guy who should be leading the free world, and he will. But he also understands that in order to make America great again, he can't step off that pedal. He can't do anything like he did out the chute the last time. He knows that he's got at least 2 years to get through things. And I think we're going to see unbelievable things. I think we're going to see even better tax code. I think we're going to see a secure border. I think we're going to see the world stabilize. I think there's a lot of things he's going to do to kill the wokeness. Woke died last night. Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Biden, Harris, the wokeness died last night. But make no mistake, they're like an unbelievable video game because every time we knock them down, they get back up. And the day that we forget that they're capable of doing that is the day we're going to actually lose our country. So yeah, we won last night. We won in big fashion. We kicked some serious ass, as it should be. But we have to remember that freedom isn't free. It costs a lot. It means that you can't sleep at night without having one eye open for as long as the George Soroses and Barack Obamas and Harrises and Clintons are lurking. We're pulling people over slowly but surely. Denny's going to go over the numbers in a little bit. The blacks, the Hispanics, the youngsters, they're coming over because they're realizing the fact that they have been lied to. We are not the party of hate. We are not the party of evil. We are not the party that's going to look to be fascists. We're the party of individualism. We're the party that says you can go out and be anything you want to be. You can go out and do the greatest work that your mind can imagine and that your heart desires. For as long as you've got the support of your president and your government and the freedoms that come along with being an American, you can be whatever you want to be. We are about to experience a transformation back to what made this country great. The white picket fence, the nuclear family, the ability to reach out and hold somebody's hand without looking at the color of the skin on that hand. It's coming back. So not only should the Democrats wake the hell up because the pendulum has swung, but to all of our enemies around the world, China specifically, Iran, North Korea, the list is long. It's a wake-up call. There's a new sheriff in town. You know how he operates, and this time he's only more powerful and stronger than ever before. You've got a choice. You can friend up to us, and we'll open our arms to you. Or you can double down. If you think you're going to get away with the bullshit that you've been getting away with for the last 4 years, you do so at your own peril. Last night, at 2:00 a.m., when it was apparent that the victory was in our hand and that nobody was going to be able to steal it, it was the first day of the rest of our life here in America. So stop worrying about what's going to get stolen. Stop worrying about whether or not Kamala Harris was going to take away everything that you worked for and everything that you deserve to have as an American. Start putting your head into positive mode. Start manifesting your future. If you want to start a business, start making that plan today. If you wanted to go on a vacation, start planning for that today. If you want your child to grow up to be a scientist or something fantastic that you yourself didn't have the opportunity to do because of whatever your means were, wherever you crawled out, you will be able to start giving your children and your grandchildren more than you had. This is a great day. Not only is it my 31st wedding anniversary, but it is a great day. Donald Trump did not win this alone. And this is the last thing I want to say here in my opening monologue. He did not win this alone, nor does he think that he did. There are three forces, as far as I'm concerned, that created this victory, that fought back against everything that was put in our face. The number one guy, other than Trump, is Elon Musk. Without Elon Musk putting everything on the line to protect the freedom of speech in this country, the number one most important thing to your freedom is your freedom of speech. Had he not bought Twitter and changed it to X, had he not said, hey, you're allowed to go on there and bash the hell out of me. Yeah, Keith Olbermann, you can say whatever you want to say about me. You could call me all the bad names in the world. That's your freedom to do so, and I'll take it. I'll eat it up, and that's it. I'm going to fight for your rights even though you're fighting against me. Elon Musk let us know what was happening in this country without interruption. Something that we haven't had in a long, long time. Number two is the alternative media. So if we could take a little pat on the back here. Independent people like ourselves who were out there fighting the good fight every single day, who are out there telling you the truth and fighting for the right message to get out there, was imperative. Elon Musk gives us the platform. But if alternative media does not have the bravery and the smarts to broadcast the message, it's just a blank page. Last night, another death, as far as I'm concerned, a slow dying death, is that of the New York Times, the mainstream media, and all these social platforms like Facebook and all the other scumbags like Google. People are giving up on those things because they're realizing that they've been manipulated for just too long. And then the third most important part is you. You didn't give up. You tuned in. You never tuned out. You put up your signs. You waved your flag. You put your I voted pin on your chest, and you did so proudly. You wore your MAGA hat. You honked at the horn for the people standing on the corners with their pro-Trump Vance signs. You shared shows like this. You shared the DML newsletter. You shared other people's fantastic content. It's just not us. You did your part. The three of us, for example, can sit here every day and just spill our thoughts into the camera. But if you don't hit share, if you don't tell other people, if you don't tune in every single day, our message dies. So Elon can create the platform. We can create the content, but it's ultimately up to you to absorb it and to share it and to spread the message and be proud of who you are, who you voted for, and what you want this country to be. Never apologize for it. Never stop quitting. I repeat what I said before. Winners never quit and quitters never win. And if Donald J. Trump has done anything for this country, the number one thing that he's done for this country is he has proven that the American dream and the desire and the mojo that is out there for you to grab and run with it, they tried to take him down financially. They tried to ruin his presidency. They tried to take away his assets. They tried to ruin his family, and they tried to kill him. And never once did he cower. Never once did he quit. Never once did he say, I can't do this. He only grew more determined to get what it is that he wanted, and he wanted the presidency back, and he's got it. And you can get whatever it is that you want in this life as well. But you just got to believe in yourself, in the system, and in the faith that comes with being somebody who believes in God. And that's what I hope comes back the most. Yeah, I want secure borders. Yeah, I want cheaper healthcare. Yeah, I don't want to pay as much taxes. And I want North Korea and all my foes to calm the hell down. But the number one thing that I want is I want God back in America. Without God, we have nothing. And the quicker that we get that message out, the better we're going to be for it. Dennis, I go over to you and ask you to give a couple of minutes of what you think about last night's victory, what it means, and personally what it did for you.
I would say too, I'm genuinely surprised, but beyond happy. I mean, when by all metrics we have said, this should be in the bag win for Trump. I'm happy we were proven right. It's hard when you see, 1 a.m. Random trucks pulling up to Detroit or Philadelphia. It's hard when you get reports that ballots need recounting. You start getting that mini PTSD of what we experienced back in 2020, but they really hit home the too big to rig methodology and the strategy. And I'm beyond happy. I think it's a good sign of how these results came out. And there's no doubt, I think the biggest loser last night is Barack Obama. I mean, Kamala loses, and as Democrats do with deflecting blame, she's going to throw it to Biden because Biden put her in this quick situation with only 2 months to campaign. And then Biden's going to deflect blame because he was put there in the first place because Hillary couldn't seal the deal. And then Hillary will deflect the blame because at the end of the day, this was all Obama's plan, his legacy. His legacy last night was rejected. They can't say we won the popular and you got the electoral. Trump won both. In fact, I mean, let's go over the mystery math. As of right now, based on the AP's reporting, on total votes, Trump is at pretty much 72 million. He ended 2020 with 74 million, around there. So you have a very small margin there, a 2 million margin. Now let's look at Kamala. She's hovering at 67 million. We're told Biden in 2020 ended with 81 million. You take away the third candidates who maybe racked up around a 1 to 2 million difference. So if we want to give the benefit of the doubt, there's a 10 to 12 million difference here of where the hell did those votes happen this time around, but they existed in 2020. So the truth of the matter is that we know that they pulled something in 2020. This really should be Trump's third win. So I think last night it was a rejection of what Obama wanted to fundamentally do to this country. And I think about it. I mean, the whole reason you even got into all of this with the border, with covering crime in the country, was because of the way he was running the country. I mean, and I know you can proudly tout it. Everyone was drinking the Obama Kool-Aid in 2008, believing he was going to be the hope, he was going to be the change, and you never bought it. You said, no, I know exactly what this man is actually going to try and do. And he's shown his true colors for the last 15 plus years. And I think last night, Americans finally said, enough. No more cheating and stealing and fraud. No more trying to implement your vision onto us when we don't accept it. We don't want it. And I think this could be the start of Obama becoming irrelevant in the Democrat Party.
I do really appreciate you acknowledging the fact that I caught on to Obama on day one.
You never got onto it. I know so many people who, even Team DML members will say it sometimes. Yeah, I bought into it. You never once did.
Never once. I never once bought into the COVID nonsense either. I didn't take the mask and put it on my face. I didn't take the vaccine. I never believed in the fact that this thing was as bad as they tried to make it. And, I'm proud of that. And this isn't about me, but there are certain people who just get it. And in 2016, I was one of the first people, if not the first one in the media, because my profile was much bigger then than it is today. And I called it correctly in 2016, almost called it down to the state. I think I got one state wrong, and I was behind Trump long before anybody else was. And then when all the polls came out, and you started having Hannitys in the world and all these other different people starting to question it because of the polls, I told people, polls are bullshit. You don't have to worry about that. He's going to win this. And I remember so many people being so nervous. And I said, don't worry, he's going to win this. He's going to win this. And I was correct. And I think it was 2 months ago. Ryan, turn your microphone on. I think it was 2 months ago that we did a show where I highlighted my electoral map. 2 months ago, not 2 weeks ago, not 2 days ago, 2 months ago, because I still have my finger on America. And I thought it would be 313 electoral votes to Trump. As of right now, it's 292, with a couple of states outstanding. Arizona with 11, Nevada carries 6, Alaska carries 3, and from what it looks like, he'll win half of Maine, which carries 1. And that equals out to what, Dennis?
That magic number.
313.
Yeah.
I will have hit it right on the head. The odds of him losing Arizona, Nevada, Alaska, and the one part of Maine are very slim. So there are people who understand what America's about. The mainstream media is not one of them. They told us and sold us on polls that this was a neck-and-neck race. And what did we say every single day on this show? Every single day on this show, we said, do not believe the polls. Do not believe them. They are trying to discourage you. They're trying to keep you home. They're trying to make reasonable doubt. And people pushed back. Early voting, over 81 million people, early votes. People going out yesterday and standing online in the rain for hours. I saw people in Chicago online in the rain, and they were asking them. They said, "Here, voting for Trump." Trump won last night. I just talked about in the monologue. I said, who helped him win? Now I'm going to talk about why he won. And again, I just want to come down to 3 things. Number 1. If Trump is not the resilient person he is, it doesn't happen. So resilience. America is not ready to be destroyed. It doesn't want to be the next great nation that has crumbled. There's too many of us still who believe in what this is based on. There's too many of us who have mothers and fathers and grandparents who died in wars or died working their fingers to the bone in order to make it. So this way America is what it is today. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they wanted to ruin that by opening our borders and flooding this country with third world migrants, terrorists, and drug runners. And we said, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. Number 2, common sense. I just talked about it. Common sense prevailed. A man should not be playing in women's sports. A doctor should not be telling a 13-year-old to take this puberty blocker and you too can be Danny even though you're Danielle, and vice versa. And then the third part is people are tired of the woke bullshit. We shouldn't be hiring people based on their skin color and their gender. We should be hiring people based on their talents and merit. If my wife gave birth to Siamese twins, the first call I'm making is to Ben Carson. Ben Carson's my first call. I don't look at him for being a black dude. I look at him for being a smart guy. If I was starting a basketball team and I wanted somebody to consult me on it, the first person I would call is Michael Jordan. There's going to be a boxing match in 2 weeks. If I were to make a bet versus Jake Paul, who's as white as snow, versus Michael Tyson, who's as black as night. I'm going with Tyson. So wokeness, DEI, all this crap out the window. That's the three things. You could say the economy, you could say the border, but they all fall underneath this. A resistance, a resilience. And that's why we won. That's why we won. Ryan, I want to hear from you because you last night were a driving force in our fantastic show, which we got so many compliments for. We had so many people watching. It was nice to see that again since Facebook has stolen it from us. You're tired this morning. We've been working our asses off. How do you feel about Trump victory and Kamala's loss?
I woke up with, I feel like, a burden off my shoulders. I feel like the first time I feel optimistic about the future. I have been wavering in the sense in the past couple months, like my patriotism, it's never fully gone, but it's hard to really have it when you got a leader like Biden and Harris. But I feel like, I think I might be able to afford a condo soon. I think, it's funny, my buddies are calling me and they're all ecstatic, like crazy happy. But obviously it's the guys, I've seen too many. I know Denny can agree. I've seen too many social media posts with women saying, "Don't talk to me. Voted for Trump," et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I'm just ecstatic and happy. There's nothing more to it.
It's funny you say that. We're not going to say names, but each year, with the exception of last year, each year when we go back to New York during the summer, we have a party, and I invite all of our friends that we've had over the past 20, 25, 30 years. And these are families that we grew up with. And one of the daughters of one of our friends who comes to our party and is there every single year, she never misses a one, posted today on her social media that if you voted for Trump, she wants you to unfriend her. And I wonder if they really think about that. Really? You don't want me to invite you to my summer party this year? We've been so evil to you in the past. Our generosity has been unbelievable. Our open arms to you, no matter who you are, has been unbelievable. The Lynch family represents a good, conservative American family. Really? I bet my balls on the fact that if I were to send her an invitation to come to one of our great parties in the summer, she's going to come. And if she's ready to put her money where her mouth is and she doesn't come, I'll have a little bit more respect for her. But I am not going to have respect for any person who voted for Kamala Harris and is going to not sit there and say, I give Trump all the credit in the world for winning this thing.
I think what you're going to see here this time around, too, is the delusion in some of these Democrats. Because when Trump won in 2016, there was still plenty of meltdowns, people crying, saying my rights will be stripped. And obviously we knew that was never going to be the case. But the thought process was, all right, how about they'll probably all relax as we get into his presidency and they realize their freedoms aren't going to get stripped and the world's not going to end and he's not going to start any wars. And he didn't do any of that. He was a great president. So now we have him for the second time around. And you definitely have that sector of people who recognized the first time, like, okay, maybe I'm not the biggest Trump guy, but I know he didn't do any of that stuff. He's going to be fine as president. But you still have the people, the View ladies, Joy Reids of the world, some of the people I've seen on my social media that believe that it's going to be another go-around of these meltdowns and that this is all going to come true, that he's going to become this crazy authoritarian dictator. It's like, did you not realize the first time around none of that actually happened?
None of it.
Does it speak to their mind at all that not only did he win the electoral, he is leading in the popular vote? There has been a surge of voter turnout and people making the switch to support him. I still don't understand how those delusioned people don't see that, don't have the foresight to see that, don't have the awareness.
People who are trying to sell the idea and concept that men can have babies, we want them to recognize that Trump's not a bad, evil person. I am telling you, in the same way I told you 313 was going to be the number, and I'm probably going to hit it spot on correct. In the same way in 2016 that I told you that Trump was going to win the presidency, and I was 100% correct. In the same way that I told you that COVID was an absolute bullshit story, and I was 100% correct. I am telling you right now that the Democrat Party is filled with people who have mental illness. There is a mental illness in being a Democrat. I'm not being funny. I'd like to see it stop. I'd like to see people be cured.
And I hate to do it, but I'll go a step further. Like, I think there is an IQ disconnect because some of them don't actually comprehend how Trump is the better candidate or just by means better president when it comes to policy. I mean, look what he did this campaign around, right? He ran circles around Kamala. He did unconventional interviews that presidents have never done before. He was connecting to groups that they lost hugely to. For example, Latino men came out in higher numbers for Trump this go around than they did for Kamala. And a big part of that is because if you have a Latino man who legally immigrated here 15 years ago, started a family, started his own business, perhaps contributed to America, and then you got Democrats grouping him in the same as illegals who came through in the last 6 months and have cartel ties. If I was that person, I'd be pissed off. I'm like, why are you grouping me with them? I'm a legal citizen who came here the right way, is a contributor, pays taxes. I'm not going to vote for your shitty candidate that's grouping me into the lowlifes. And I think you're seeing that. You're seeing the awakeness of, okay, they don't represent any of my interests. They're just pandering for literally the crazies out there, and it doesn't work.
You know, they said that Trump fought back in 2020, created an insurrection, did things the wrong way, whatever. We saw cheating go all over the place. And now Harris, is pulling her own version of sore loser. Only difference is she has no proof of cheating like we did. She didn't call him up. First of all, she left her fans and supporters like Hillary Clinton did, standing there empty, did not have enough courage and respect to come out and say anything to them last night, sends out our campaign manager and says, sorry, she's not going to come out today. All these people there supporting her leave. She hasn't come out yet and said anything. She hasn't called Trump. She hasn't conceded. She hasn't said congratulations. She's going to make an appearance tonight at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
You look at that, my God, did we dodge a bullet? Did we dodge a bullet or what?
Can you imagine that? You have all of your supporters there at the Howard University, and you just can't, you send your campaign manager or one of your guys to come out and talk to them. I mean, talk about the totally uninspiring woman. And, that's a great indicator, too, that I think, everyone wants to slam on nepotism sometimes, but look at Lara Trump leading the RNC this time around compared to Ronna McDaniel. I mean, there's clearly no synthesis of what happened in 2020 compared to, because we had some doubts too, right? Like, okay, she's got these poll watchers, these attorneys, but she actually enabled them into action. We saw that when there were shenanigans, she got right on them, went to court, got approval. So you get definitely kudos to that. But it just goes to show, do you really got to get to the, your daughter-in-law to be in there so that things are working effectively? And maybe there's a truth to that.
Let's change gears here for a second. And what we'll do is we'll start winding down the show with some really great clips to show you how it is that the left is so unhinged. But I want to say something really, really, really important. Really important. Last night, we watched Fox News, my wife and I, from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock to watch what Trump had to say. And this morning, I've been watching the television set popping around. And I hear a message that's scaring the bejesus out of me. They're all telling Trump to unify the country. Let's find unity. Let's find unity. No. Although I am always for peace, never for violence, always for friendship versus enemies, I am not dumb. Donald J. Trump turned a blind eye to Hillary Clinton and many of the different people that tried to do wrong to him in his first go-round in 2016. We are not going to do that again. Trump has got to be smart. You get me once, shame on you. You get me twice, shame on me. The other side wants to take Trump down still, maybe more than they did before yesterday. They want to kill the MAGA movement. They want to kill the conservative movement. They want to kill the freedom of speech. They want to take down Elon Musk. They want to take down voices like Tucker Carlson and all of ours. This is not the time to start playing the unity thing. If you do, you're making a deal with the devil. The devil will smile to you and say, yeah, let's unify, only because they don't want Trump to hold them accountable. This is not the time to unify. You want to know how you unify? You take care of the scum and the slime and the dishonesty that has freaking showered over this country. And then when you clean that up, when you get rid of those foes, when you make people accountable for what they've done, then you can reach out and say, how about we become unified now? But we don't start today. I don't want Trump taking out one bit of that adrenaline he has inside to make things right for all the wrongs that were done.
Some breaking news. Kamala has officially conceded.
Oh, great.
She called Trump to congratulate, and
it's about time.
Yeah.
It's about time. It's about time. Well, with that being said, maybe she should call some of the people in the media who ran cover for her, as you like to say, people who told lies day in and day out. Let's start playing some of these people. There's no better meltdown than the meltdowns we're watching on The View. Ryan, first video I'd like you to play, and Denny, can you cue it up as well so this way we can hear it on our end? Mm-hmm. We're going to play Sunny from The View, who just always has to go to color because she doesn't know anything else other than to sell racism that doesn't exist. Play it, Ryan.
I'm surprised at the results, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. Uh-huh. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
I want to take down what she just said. First of all, she says this had nothing to do with policy, everything to do with color. Do you think the guy in Wisconsin who can't pay his car insurance, who can't put food on the table, gives a rat's ass about whether or not he gets more money in his pocket from a black guy, Mexican guy, or an Irish guy? No. The only person that says that this wasn't about policy and was about color is somebody like Sunny, who's making millions of dollars a year and doesn't have a worry in the world when it comes to putting gasoline in her gas tank, who probably has a personal shopper going out and buying her eggs and whatever else it is that she's stuffing down her throat. And I'd like to know what she is stuffing down her throat so this way we never eat it, because I think it may be in the food that's driving these people crazy. Secondly, this is a referendum on people of color. A black woman who is married to a Jewish guy, I look at it a little different. I look at it as a woman who never had a child, who married a guy who cheated on his wife and hit another woman based on accusations. That's what I look at. I look at people rejecting the fact of a woman, regardless of her color, lying about everything she's ever done, telling you that she was wide open, she was open for wide open borders, decriminalized coming across the border, and then all of a sudden was going to close the border. A woman who basically played black people like they were puppets. How insulting. I'll give you $20,000 to go start a business. You think that's what these people are missing? They're not missing $20,000 to start going to business. That's like telling them that they can't go get ID to vote because they're too stupid. This is just crazy. A cultural resentment? This is just you, Sonny, being a demented woman of liberalism. I don't look at you as a colored woman. I just look at you as a mentally insane female.
So the only one who might be a little more demented is her co-host, Whoopi Goldberg.
Then we've got video of that, Dennis. Way to lead it in. Ryan, let's get up the Whoopi.
For that. And think about this. She did this in 2 months.
Yeah, no.
She did this in 2 months.
She left it all on the field. Yes, she
look,
did.
She everybody can always say, oh, she should have done this. She should have done this. She did what she did. She was everywhere. She talked to everybody. And people didn't come out. I don't know why. And it doesn't even matter. He's now the president. I'm still not going to say his name. That's not going to change.
Let's mark down what this idiot had to say.
So disrespectful. Not going to say his name.
Totally. Yeah. And if Trump said that he wasn't going to say her name, he'd be called a racist.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, what she's going to do is she's going to get a salary upgrade from the idiots at ABC. Let's just take a look at what she just said, Dennis. She only had 2 months. What are you, stupid, Whoopi? I guess I'm asking a rhetorical question. She had 4 years, honey. She had 4 years. She left the borders open. She left inflation skyrocketing. She flip-flopped all over the place, and she left Israel left to die, and she's giving more money to the Ukrainians than she is the people in North Carolina. She's got people living in tents in the United States of America, and she's worried more about the people in Ukraine. She had 2 decades Whoopi. We played commercials from 2 decades as an AG who put parents in jail because their kids didn't go to school because they had colds. She was the most liberal, radical senator in the U.S. Senate. You're going to try to make it sound like she had 2 months to sell herself? No, honey. She had 2 decades. 2 decades of a freaking resume that people rejected. That's why they didn't show up for her, because she couldn't put a sentence together. And you're going to say she talked to everybody? She freaking hid. She wouldn't give an interview. In the first interview she gives, she gets Tim Walz sitting next to her. Are you kidding me? She didn't talk. She talked to everybody. She talked to nobody.
I think we have one more clip of The View here, both Whoopi and Sonny one more time, basically saying it's everyone else's fault, not Kamala's.
Play it, Ryan.
I mean, aside from butt naked dancing on the top of the table, I don't know what else she could have done.
I don't think she could have done more. I think she left it all out on the field. I think she raised $1 billion in 3 months. I think that she ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that. I think now it's the time for us to work.
You know, it sounds
flawless campaign.
Yeah, flawless. Oh,
man.
Okay? The woman couldn't put together sentences. If her teleprompter went out, she couldn't speak. Flawless campaign.
I tell you, The View's got to change their name to The Blind. I mean, how do you just tout such a ridiculous sentence that way and believe it?
The only people coming out for Kamala Harris were freaking lefty artists, Hollyweirds, Cardi B. I mean, these freaks of nature coming out, right? Look what she just said. And, people will think there was a funny in that. But it wasn't funny. It was real. She says, short of going butt naked on the podium, on the platform, let's not forget, this is the party that promotes transgender people going in front of school-age children and showing their whereabouts, lifting up their skirts, showing their gonads, doing things to little kids. I mean, that's what you wanted? That's what you think people want? If I saw Kamala Harris, it was funny. We talked about it. There was a rumor on X for a while that there was going to be a sex tape of Kamala Harris and Montel Williams. Let me tell you something. I'm by no means a prude, but that's one sex tape I'd have no interest in seeing. And I don't think most people would be interested in seeing.
No, absolutely not. No. I just, it's so funny because there's no better time for when the delusion is most on display than the morning after an election that doesn't go your way. And it really did not go the Democrats' way. I mean, the clips it was actually very hard to choose which clips to play for everyone today because there has been so much meltdown. In fact, there was one that was like a 5-minute compilation. But another big meltdown was Joy Reid trying to make the comparison of choosing freedom and then unfettered fascism that's going to dictate the country into a dark age.
Let's play it.
And we begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can. We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today, that suppresses the rights of women and minorities, uses the military to execute the whims of a strongman dictator, and controls and suppresses the press, education, the arts, rewrites history to suit a favored and dominant racial class, and foments extravagant corruption in order to enrich the dictator and his friends.
So here we go again with the Hitler double down.
Did you see that where she has like the little compilation of all the dictators and authoritarian figures in history? I mean, they must have so much fun in that little editing room creating like their narratives.
Here's the part that Joy Reid wants to absolutely ignore. They all want to ignore it. And this is why so many people in the country are not given the information they need to be given. They're uninformed. Trump won this election also because he took demographics that historically have gone blue.
Yeah.
Black men, Hispanics.
Yeah.
youngsters, college youngsters,
Yep.
Jews, the numbers, when they're finalized, are going to be earth-shattering to the Democrats, who are going to realize that they have lost the majority of what they once had as a voting bloc. The only people that are voting for these Democrats without any hesitation are people who paint their hair blue, people who put earrings in places where earrings don't go, and people who just are obsessed with freaking killing the unborn.
So I mean, NBC here, but NBC here does have some of the demographic breakdowns, at least in age. It looks like your age group or your generation, 45 to 64, turned out the strongest for Trump.
No shock.
Yeah, 65 and up had 50% for Harris, 49% for Trump, 30 to 44 in the age range had 51% to Kamala, 46% to Trump, and then Gen Z mostly for Kamala, but still, there's no wide gap, I should say. Like, Kamala didn't sweep up a certain age group.
The part that shocks me in what you just said is the 65 and up crowd, because you would imagine that wisdom is going to kick in at some point. And so when people are seeing their retirements go down, when people are seeing that it's getting harder for things like Medicaid and Medicare and health insurance, and your Social Security isn't going as long as it used to go, I'm shocked by the fact that he did not take more of the older vote.
A little bit, yeah. I think it comes down to perspective, right? Because when you have that older group, I think, not to black and white it, but I think it goes one or two different ways. Either one, you're probably someone like in our audience seeing America going in the dumpster, and even though you had maybe not the best opportunity, you were able to make something better of it than someone younger today could. And then you have the group that, maybe did well, and they just see Kamala for the whole candidate of change. And because they're maybe not as directly impacted, they sway that way. I mean, I still, even knowing Trump won, can't get over that picture we posted on the episode we had last week of all the older white women that were on the corner for Kamala and Tim Walz. And I was baffled by it, but I guess in that demographic break, it's really one of those two options. But again, the biggest minority turnout to really flip on Kamala was the Latino vote, specifically for Latino men.
And I think that's a great lead-in for playing Morning Joe, right? Who criticizes who voted for who and who didn't.
I mean, even just to preface it, one thing that I think you're going to see in these few days is Democrats turn on each other and start actually maybe becoming the perceived racist that they claim everyone else is.
Ryan, play Morning Joe.
And I just say really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. The Democratic Party, I've always found, when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You've got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic. And we've got to have real honest conversations about it.
Real honest conversations.
Oh, and the idiots that are on the panel there with him want America to believe that this is because it was a woman. Want American to believe that this is basically, we are, hating on a woman of color. And I find it so hard to believe that they're going to keep on pressing this as if she lost because she was a champion for the right message, but she just couldn't break through because she's a black female. Her message sucked.
I did. And now her post message is going to be even worse, because I think one thing they're going to try to make a spin here on is that by voting for Trump, and I've seen it through some of the social media posts I saw this morning. I was talking to Ashley about it. They're going to try to make this seem like that men hate women, that this was a vote against women. Because think about it, if Trump lost last night, what would we be maybe vouching about? Oh, we're going to be worried about the economy. We're going to be worried about the insecure border. We're going to be worried about our international standing in the world. Every reaction I've seen on the left side here has been mostly from women, and it's all about the reproductive right debate. And it's going to get to a point where it's going to be mind-numbing, but I think the Kamala Harris campaign and the Democrats are going to try and pose it as that this is the party that's anti-women, that wants to set women back 100 years, 200 years. And it's not the case when you do look at the breakdown and you see how many women have actually been giving support over to Trump.
I'll just do the woman thing here for a second. Forget about color. Gavin Newsom is the candidate for the Democrats instead of Harris. And take your pick. Huckabee Sanders, Kristi Noem is the person running for the Republican Party. Do you think we have a different outcome? Gavin Newsom selling open borders, killing an unborn, selling more money to Ukraine, selling homelessness, drugs, illegal aliens. Do you really think that black men and Latino men and white men and Jewish men are going to sit there and say, well, I'm going to give my vote to Gavin Newsom because he's a white male? Why can't the Democrat Party ever admit their policies don't work? Their message sucks. And the more woke it gets, the more they alienate the JFK Democrat. The more, I'll even say the Clinton Democrat, Bill Clinton. You know, Bill Clinton, as dirty and scumbaggish as he is, as crooked as he is, especially when it comes to women and what he did to Lewinsky, if you listen to some of his speeches back when he was the president, it almost sounds like freaking Trump talking about we need to secure the border. We got the wrong people coming across, blah, 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 being pro-business. I mean, why can't the Democrats get that? They just can't admit what they're looking at in the mirror is ugly.
Of course. I mean, look, I go back to Obama. I mean, if you look at some of Obama's older speeches, I mean, I know you agree, it was always his plan to get it as radical as possible. But like anything with a long-term plan, it's a slow crawl. If you look at some of his earlier speeches, he wasn't some crazy, based on what he's speaking about, crazy open borders guy. He talked about border security. He talked about, you know, we need immigration, but the right way. And then slowly, as they tried showing their true colors, obviously it's diluted to what it is today. But back at the time, he wasn't talking about that. So if you have that, it's based on the policies of those centrist Democrats who wanted to vote for him. But it goes to show, too, a black man was voted as president of the United States twice. Yeah, I was about to do the twice. So there is not a race issue when it comes to this. Ultimately, Kamala Harris was a candidate that she avoided interviews for as long as she can. And then when she went on interviews, she could not prove herself. She never gave determined answers on her policies. She had 3 years to prove herself, 3.5 years to prove herself, and she failed to. If anything, she showed her true colors with her relationship with Joe Biden. And by all these means, that's how she failed. It's not because she's a black Southeast Asian woman.
So we're going to wind up the show here. We've been here for an hour. This is coming off last night's 5 hours. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty in terms of our live feed. So we're going to wrap it up here at 1 hour. But let me just kind of wrap a few things that you need to know. And I hope you're paying attention to this. First and foremost, in May, I created with my boys a newsletter. We were hoping that it was going to reach a few people. It was our way of trying to help Trump win the election because we were afraid that Facebook was censoring, and they did censor. And we wound up growing the newsletter to an open rate. That means how many people actually open it and read it, to a number that is some days triple the norm for the industry and most days double. We're going to keep that going, even though I had always planned to end it the day after the election. But it cost me a fortune to do, and it costs me a fortune to send, and I don't bog it down with advertisements. I don't want to put third-party advertisements in there. I don't want to have a newsletter that tells you to go out and buy gold when I don't go out and buy gold myself. I don't want to try to sell you a chair or sell you something else because I need to pay the bills. So I think I've come up with the most fair way for you to support us so this way we can continue what we're doing, because Facebook has demonetized us. Google has demonetized us. We barely make any money doing what we're doing on this. If it wasn't for DML CBD, it all would be folded. For just $30 for an entire year, you can become a member of Team DML, which, by the way, my existing members have had to pay $200. But I've done a special here for this election because I know times are tough and we're trying to get as many people on the Team DML membership as we can. With the Team DML membership, not only do you get to watch this show every single day, because we're not going to be putting it out for free. We did that with the election, but we have to, like I said, pay the bills for our membership. You get a 24/7, 365 live chat on Team DML. You get to watch the live shows, all of our programs, including our weekend programs, and you get our newsletter. Plus, you get ad-free news on our news feed on the DML News app. $30. You keep us in business. It's that easy. So if you could, go to teamdml.com, sign up. We're going to keep that open until Friday night to become a member for $30, and then it goes back up to $200. So that's the first thing I ask you. Second thing is, if you are an existing DML CBD customer, we were going to end the BOGOs forever and ever if Kamala Harris won. There's no way I could continue to do it. The expenses are too high. We are going to continue doing the BOGOs now that Trump's back in, but it's going to take months for Trump to get this economy back to where we're paying normal prices. So this is the final BOGO for the 2024 season. I ask you please to grab whatever products you need, knowing that I'm not going to have another BOGO again, full site BOGO, until 2025, and I don't know how deep into it. And that's for certain, because I won't even have the product to do the BOGO. So because we didn't buy a whole load of product to come in, because we were so uncertain about what's going to happen. So please, dmlcbd.com/BOGO, B-O-G-O. If you are not a DML CBD customer, now's the time. If you got aches and pains, if you're having a problem sleeping, if you got skin issues, if you got a weak immune system, if you got anxiety, although that's probably a little less today than it was yesterday, DML CBD has a product that can probably help you. We've helped tens of thousands of people change their lives. We test everything, in most cases twice. We test the ingredients before we make, and then we do it again once it's made. So you're getting a double testing. It's safe. It's phenomenal. We changed lives. Go to dmlcbd.com/BOGO. Take a look at all the items that are there, and then buy whatever you need, knowing that we're going to double your order. Third is, I just want to ask you, please, follow us on X. We were waiting to see what happened. Today, once we're done with the show, my sons and I are going to sit down and we're going to start planning for what our future holds. And I can tell you that the top of the conversation is going to be, we're going to build a massive presence on X. So please follow us, x.com/trustdml. And I ask you to go open up an X account if you haven't already, because Elon Musk put everything on the line for you. And the minimum you can do is go open up a free account. That's the minimum you can do. And for my Team DML members, we have had a long journey together. And my family is as deeply in love with you as you are with us. And I want to say thank you for always supporting us, being in there. I know some of you are paying more money than others right now for your membership, and we'd like to equal that at some point. But, you know, this is what it is. We're trying to survive here, and I know you understand what it is we're trying to do. So we want to say thank you to that in a big way.
I want to add on that, because it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, like Trump is the candidate, but we all had a part. It takes an army, you know?
Yeah.
So even if you did something as simple as attend a Trump rally, it just shows that you were someone of a support. If you've been on the ride, you know, sharing videos to try and get people informed, I think everyone had a big impact in their own little way.
Yeah. So, Ryan, I'm going to give you last word.
I just want to say I love Team DML. They're the best. They're the smartest. I'm just Trump 2024. I don't know. I'm so happy today.
He's happy.
I'm sorry about the live stream. Yeah. I will have that dialed in. I will, for the rest of the day, focus in on that and get it back to
Might be
Chris.
the Democrats' last attempt to
either that or maybe
they might be trying to take us out.
Maybe Democrats. It's Ashley trying to get him fired so she can take over his job.
Maybe. All
right. Until the next time, as always, we always sign off the same way because we believe in what we're saying. May God bless you, your family, these United States, Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, all the people who voted for him, and all the people who didn't.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And today's teamed email blessing goes out to Christy Michaels. It is her birthday today. So
hey.
What a great birthday gift, right?
That's right. Happy birthday, Christy. Enjoy it.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and team DML.